Little Dog Lost is beautiful, it's emotional. There's one scene that I loved and potentially hated in equal measure. If you're a Disney fan and you like Disney animal films, you will thoroughly enjoy this. And what I found to be quite delightful is that it's narrated by Winston Hibler, and I'll talk more about why I think that's particularly delightful in a moment. This was released in 1963. It's directed by Walter Perkins. It's written by Meindert de Jong and Catherine Turney, based on the novel by Meindert de Jong, with a cast including Hollis, Margaret, Gerrity, Grace Bauer, Priscilla Overton, Dennis Yanglin, and Norman Williams, narrated by Winston Hibler. And I have watched quite a few Disney films from around this time over the past few weeks where I've been saying it's a work of fiction, but it feels like one of the James Alger directed nature documentaries, most if not all of which were narrated by Winston Hibler. And now I can say not only does it feel like a Winston Hibler narrated documentary, but we have the narration there from Hibler, which I absolutely love. So it is a fictitious story, but it does in a way feel like those nature documentaries. So if you're a fan of the James Alger documentaries, particularly with the Winston Hibler narration, you're going to absolutely adore this. This is about a little Welsh corgi called Candy. And Candy is absolutely adorable. Corgis are one of my favourite dog breeds. I'd say my second favourite, my favourite being Jack Russell's. So I was very happy from the beginning. And we meet Candy as a little puppy. He is adorable. He is a boy. Going into it, I assumed it would be a girl called Candy. But no, Candy is a boy. And at the beginning, I thought this was really, really strong because the family get the puppy and it's all about helping the puppy settle in, and there are some really great tips. Tips for helping him drink, because obviously he's used to sucking on his mother's teat, and tips for helping him get comfortable at night. I thought it was really educational with some really great takeaways there. And then it very quickly gets, well, quite frankly, traumatizing. Candy, a little bigger now, not a teeny tiny puppy, but certainly a little bigger, gets in the owner's way, the mother of the household. He gets in her way a little bit in the kitchen, so she shoos him into the corner, so he's wedged kind of between the wall and the kitchen cupboard. And she shoos him with the broom and kind of puts the broom there to make him stay. And this doesn't happen much in the film. I don't know if it happens ever again, but certainly in that moment, the camera is from Candy's perspective when we see this giant broom towering over this little dog, shoving him back into the wall, and he's petrified. He is terrified. It's heartbreaking to see. Obviously, the mother didn't mean to hurt Candy, but she doesn't realise how traumatising that could actually be. And this is significant because it significantly affects the rest of the film and Candy's experience. The family then go for a day out. They get into a rainstorm and something falls down this, it's not a hillside, but it's a little hill, and it resembles a broom. Candy sees this, already spooked by the rainstorm, is doubly spooked by the sight of this broomstick, and he runs, and he runs, and he runs, and he runs. And the family have lost him. And then it's all about his adventure that follows, some animals that he meets. And I won't say what else happens at the moment. I will give a spoiler warning in a moment, but it's all about the aftermath of that, and that is the bulk of the film, what happens afterwards. And Candy is adorable. Such a beautiful, beautiful dog. I don't know who plays Candy. That information isn't on IMDb, so I don't know if the dog has been in anything else. But if anybody has any information on that, please do let me know. I'd love to see if Candy has been in any other films. I will talk about a specific scene in a moment, but I can sum up first of all by saying that we do get some gorgeous footage, not just of Candy, but of the areas that Candy is exploring, and we get some great camera work, some good acting from the humans, and I don't know how much of Candy's work was performance, or if they were just letting Candy do his thing and then filming him as they do with the nature documentaries. I'm not entirely sure how much of it was scripted for Candy or if they got the footage and then worked around it, but either way, Candy is an absolute delight. And obviously there's a huge, really well delivered message here that what might seem insignificant to you could be severely significant to an animal. Basically, don't back them into a corner with a broom. That broom, bearing in mind Candy is a tiny little corgi, is, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times his height. It was quite a tall broom. And imagine somebody doing that to you. So I think that's a really strong takeaway that we see time and time again. It comes up later on, but I'll I'll talk about that in a moment, that this tiny, tiny moment has significantly affected Candy. And I think it did a really, really great job of highlighting that. And again, I like the fact that the mother wasn't meaning to be abusive to Candy. She wasn't out to hurt Candy. It was something that she just did in the heat of the moment because she was being irritated by Candy getting under her feet. And she didn't really think about the after effects. Maybe she wasn't aware of how it could affect Candy. And I think it did a really great job of highlighting that message. So, absolutely solid story. It does get emotional on multiple occasions. Yes, I did cry. That's something I expected to happen. But it's also a very strong film with a really brilliant message. And I will now talk about one scene that I think was fabulous, but also a little bit questionable as well. I don't want to accuse anybody of doing anything not great, but it did make me feel a little uneasy. So this is a spoiler for something that happens later on in the film. Ultimately, Candy runs off and actually finds a new home with this older farmer, and he is clearly in need of a companion. He takes in Candy. They seem to get along really well. But then Candy happens to see a broom, and of course he doesn't know about her trauma with the broom, and he runs off under the bed and hides, and the farmer starts kind of prodding a little bit under the bed, and we can see Candy clearly in distress. And that's the bit I don't like, because it's very possible that Candy wasn't acting in that moment, and that in order to get the footage, they did have to make the dog a little bit distressed. I'm not saying that that's definitely what happened, but that's kind of what it felt like, so I'm hoping that's not the case. I know it was a brief clip, but how many takes did it take? I don't know. Either way, I wasn't comfortable with that, but what happens afterwards was amazing. Because quite quickly, this individual, Candy's new human, realises that the broom is a problem. So what he does, and it made me so emotional, he's talking to Candy, explaining what he's doing, and he takes the broom, and I thought he was going to snap it in half, but actually that would probably be more traumatizing. He takes the broom, he throws it out of the window, and he tells Candy to come and look, and Candy does, and he looks out the window, and he can clearly see the broom is far away. And it was just so beautiful. In that moment, a stark contrast to the way the mother behaved. He really knew what Candy was feeling and what was right for Candy. The exact opposite of the way Candy was treated at the beginning of the film. And I just thought it was an absolute joy. There is a bit that has a bit of an awkward message, because, and again, this is a spoiler for something that happens, Candy's original owners visit this man. Turns out that's the kid's grandfather. Huge coincidence. And they realise this is Candy, so they take Candy back home. But the little girl realises Candy is upset and wants to be with their grandfather. So what the girl does is let the dog out of the car, so Candy can find his own way back. That's a terrible message. You don't do that, because anything could have happened. I think that was irresponsible. Do I think any young child watching it will do the same and let a dog out of the car so the dog can find their way home? Let's hope not, but you never know. So it was a bit of a risk, but hopefully nothing has come of that. But either way, Candy going home, and the way the man came outside looking for Candy, and because he obviously was told what had happened, that the granddaughter had let the dog out, and obviously he was thinking, well, is Candy going to come home? Is she just lost? He lost now? And then Candy comes running, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And it's about 9 years ago, my cat went missing. This is a tangent, but it's relevant. My cat went missing for 3 days because she's an idiot and is not very streetwise. She's an indoor cat now. And it just took me back there, looking outside, calling her name, waiting for her to come running forward. And it was just that moment so, so beautiful. For the record, my cat, I woke up on the third day, went to the front door, and my cat was just sitting there as if nothing had happened. Came inside, shoved her face in her food bowl, as if there had been no chaos, as if I had not been in absolute agony for 3 days. Absolute idiot. But if you can relate to that moment, even if not, it's a really, really moving, beautiful moment. And it was gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. So it is an emotional film, but the footage of Candy is so beautiful. As I said, if you know of any other films the dog has been in, or if you know anything about the dog, please feel free to let me know. There are a few bits in this that are not the easiest to watch, but ultimately, if you're a dog person, then I'd say it's absolutely worth checking out.